It's great news that you'll be offering first responders testing. Do you see this as step one towards being able to offer broader testing capabilities beyond one store to the general public?
Well, thank you for having us on. Very pleased to be able to speak on behalf of Rite Aid. It's really early days. It's really pretty amazing how fast we were able to work with the White House and our teams to get this up and running. We just launched our first public test site in the parking lot of one of our Philadelphia Rite Aids. And, we've been working with them for, I guess, I don't know, it feels like a long time, but I guess it's only been a few days to try to get testing out into the market, and we are administering these tests as we speak. They're currently available only to health professionals and first responders, so whether or not they have symptoms, so we're all trying to prioritize the critical community resources. So these are the people that are going to be working with the sickest. And I think the plan, is certainly for all of us to expand where we can. This is really a pilot. And so we'll learn a lot today, tomorrow, and over the next few weeks. And we're also obviously interested in providing testing once commercially available testing is in the market. We do flu testing in certain states today. So we do strep testing in certain states today in our pharmacies. So we're hoping that as they identify tests and make them available, that's something we could do as well.
Got it. Well, we look forward to that possibility. Clearly, your local pharmacy is more critical than ever these days. It's an essential business for medication, for healthcare services, and for groceries as well. We know one of your competitors, CVS, says it plans to hire 50,000 people, full-time, part-time, temp jobs to handle increased demand. Tell us how you're managing the increase in demand at your stores. Are you hiring more?
We're definitely going to be hiring more. We're not only going to be hiring more, but we're going to be forming SWAT teams in markets that can go from store to store, whether it be front-end clerks or pharmacists and techs. So we want to be able to flex. So we want to hire up in our stores, but we also want resources that can flex from store to store, because we do see that from store to store will have needs and may be different on different days. So we don't want to be just hiring within the stores, but rather having teams that can rotate. And, of course, our distribution centers are also crucial, and we are hiring up there as well. We don't have a number per se at this point. I think it's fluid, but we're on it as everybody is.
So, Heyward, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second here. We have some breaking news here. This out of the UK, of course, the sixth largest economy in the world, ordering its citizens to stay home except for essential reasons. Prime Minister Boris Johnson speaking now in a televised address. He says non-essential travel must stop. He also says that the police have the power to enforce the lockdown, and that includes fines, in his words. He says the UK will close non-essential shops in this lockdown. So basically, Boris Johnson, who had hinted that this could be the next step for his country, saying that the country there is basically in a lockdown except for, quote, essential reasons. All right, I want to get back to our guest here, Heyward Donigan. Of course, she's the CEO of Rite Aid and the president here in the U.S. Heyward, when you talk about this idea of how your stores are positioning to handle the demands and the needs of all of the Americans out there that are looking for whether it's essential items or even some of those non-essential items, we've seen a lot of companies out there that have had significant online presences like Amazon, like Walmart, have actually seemed to do pretty well here and being able to address those needs. I'm wondering what the digital strategy is here for Rite Aid, for maybe some folks who aren't comfortable coming into stores, who still maybe want a social distance at the extreme.
Well, thank goodness we've been focused on building out our e-commerce business, and we still have a lot of opportunity and upside there. But we had built out extra capacity and bandwidth before this all happened, and boy, did we need it, because our e-commerce volumes have now peaked to 10 times the highest historically. And that has not abated yet. The volumes are very, very high, and I think, as you just pointed out, a lot of people don't want to go to the stores, and if they have an option, they certainly are going to look at it. And we are also offering free home delivery during this crisis. And one one thing I just want to point out, in addition to e-commerce, free home delivery, we also have a significant drive-through presence. 50% of our stores have drive-throughs, and so we see a high volume of people coming through the drive-through as well, and that's a good option. And, I think we're a really good indicator of how this is all going to play out, because right now, Rite Aid, more than any other pharmacy, is in the nation's top hotspots, Washington, California, and New York.
Yeah.
And we're also in the locations where the virus is surely soon to materialize more significantly, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. So, we've been in the middle of this for weeks now, and, starting in Seattle, then California, now New York, and then heading down the East Coast. So we've got some pretty good indications of how this might play out and how this might affect both our in-store and e-commerce.
Right.
And, more to come.
So, Heyward, one last question here. We only have a little bit of time left here. I mean, you're relatively new as the head of this company, taking over last year. Obviously, this was a company, Rite Aid, that had gone through a lot of changes. There had been some attempts with regards to M&A activity. I'm just wondering, with regards to some of the long-term plans that maybe you had when you took over as CEO last summer, how many of those plans have been put on hold, or is there still sort of a pathway for you to see some of those strategic options moving forward?
Yeah, well, I certainly didn't anticipate this, but we did roll out our long-term plans at Analyst Day last Monday. We do not anticipate any meaningful impact on those plans at this point. We are working in earnest to continue to do everything that we committed to in Analyst Day. Now, I do think maybe some of our construction of our new store exteriors and signage might get delayed just due to this. But if it does, we don't anticipate it would be more than a few weeks. So, again, it is kind of early to call it, but most of our plans can move forward and are going to move forward in earnest, as we weren't planning for our big launch on the retail side and on the PBM side until the early fall timeframe. So I'm pretty optimistic, but, at this point, right now, we have to run the business. We have to take care of our associates so they can take care of our customers. And we have to try our best to keep ourselves healthy in order to continue to do our long-term work.